Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, June the 19th. It's about 6:40 p.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson of SailFlow and Leading Edge Weather, bringing you a preliminary forecast for CORA's summer Sailstice race, offshore race starting this Friday. So there are four classes going out, two starting with the Charlie and Delta at 1500 hours or 3 p.m. And then we also have the Alpha Bravo going out at 6 p.m. or 1800 hours. So that's going to be the basically the launch of the start series for that. And then if we move me off to the corner here, we can see the CORA homepage. And where you're going to find the forecast, I'll be pinning this one here to the skipper's information under offshore wind and weather. And I'll be putting this on the webpage as soon as I'm done with this video. But the first official forecast will likely not be until either tomorrow or Wednesday, whichever day looks a little bit more solid for what the margin of error tunes for as we get into the race start for Friday. So let's go ahead and dive into the forecast. What we have is a very, very unsettled pattern that is beginning for the rest of the week, right? We've had that for several days now, and this is going to be the biggest culprit right here. This mid-level low, an area of troughing, is going to basically just park over the Tennessee Valley and just sit for several days. It may toggle back and forth, come back up from Georgia or Alabama, Mississippi area, but basically this pattern is going to be rather sticky, and what that does is it brings southwest Gulf moisture up the coast, where we have Atlantic high pressure with clockwise motion bringing up the southerly winds. What that means is we'll have moderate to strong south-southwest or southwesterly winds across our area daily, blended in with these thunderstorms. So the inland troughing mechanisms that fire off the thunderstorms will help develop the sea breezes at the coast and feed it back in as it circulates. But that also may keep some of those storms at bay inland for the afternoons until a certain point when that sea breeze front breaks, and then those storms just go right across the coastline. So this is to be expected pattern for the next several days and right into Friday. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys. We look at the weather service, and each day through the week we have an 80% chance, basically each day and night, maybe dropping to 70% Thursday, Friday, and Friday night 60%, a little bit less. But the main culprit is this right here, this mid-level low, and you can see the blue area that's dropping down. This is 500 millibars. This is what's going to sink down over the Tennessee Valley and just sit for days, right? So this is the pattern. There's no real good subtropical jet stream pulling up and over this area to move this out of the way, and this is what's causing it. So if we look at the WPC surface maps, it shows it as well. For the surface locations where that low stalls, we have frontal activity of warm front to our north just at the Grand Strand, cold front activity trying to advance from the west but then stalling, and then this frontal activity is just going to be sort of meandering or undulating for the next several days. So that's going to make things rather messy and stormy each day, even at night times. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what it's looking like for right now. We just have to be wary of those thunderstorm pockets, right? But the winds look pretty good, so let's take a look at that. I'm going to pick Chutes Folly for the start on Friday, running all the different model types. And it looks like for Friday afternoon, we're in a strong south-southwest to southwest pattern by the evening and into night. So during the daytime, it looks like the winds back down a little bit more from Thursday. So we're running right around 11 to 15 knots at the race start between 3 and 5, and then 6 we see the winds coming up as that nocturnal jetting phase starts. Now, one thing about nocturnal jetting is in the daytime, we have latent heat that's across the surface, right? I mean, it's pretty much the land is hot, it's heating the water as well. Everything is hot at the surface. That's what's keeping those sea breezes going. At nighttime, the land cools, and then the winds, the latent layer aloft pulls down and recirculates that south-southwest flow, and that creates a rather strong setup that can be indicative of the sea breeze for the next day. So in all essence, it really can. A sea breeze from one day can tell you what the nocturnal jet's going to do that night, and then that nocturnal jet can tell you what the sea breeze is going to do for the next day. So it's all cyclical. It's all tied in, but they're very difficult to forecast. So what I'll say is we're going to be looking 11 to 15 knots for the race start at the very least, with potential for 14 to 18 because we know the harbor heats up a little bit more than the offshore just along the beaches. So be ready for some moderate winds to start at the race on Friday. As we get into Friday night, those nocturnal jets kick in. The Wolf Wharf 2 kilometer is really zeroing in on the physics behind this at nighttime. So we're looking at anywhere from 16 to 20 knots just inside Chutes Folly. So if we go offshore, let me pick another location. So if we're offshore out here at the Capers near shore buoy, and we run those models out. Now I know some of you folks will probably be a little bit farther out depending on where the course is. I'm just using a point of reference here, but if we go out to Friday night, we can see some of those models really going up into the upper teens to low 20s, especially the CMC. So be wary of the models that reflect that for Friday night, and then it's a Saturday morning. It looks like the Saturday morning low-level jet will eventually fade. They usually start to fade between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. So right between these times is when the low-level jet fades, but it can still carry those low teens right up through the morning and then go right up to mid-teens by late morning. So that is definitely something to watch as far as the winds go. So two things going. Number one, we have the winds to go on this race, but number two, we have to watch for the storming. Okay, so tide information, we are moving into a waxing crescent moon. Tides are normalized because we're in an apogee phase. So that means no higher than normal high tides. We have one coming up this evening at 6.9 feet, and then it's going to start to normalize after that. So going into a regular period, almost quasi neap tide effects as we head into Thursday, Friday. High temperatures, we're going to look at mid to upper 80s for the most part, maybe some upper 80s as we get into Friday, Saturday, maybe some low 90s into Sunday, Monday, but for the most part, pretty warm. And then maybe just a few degrees cooler over the waters where the sea surface temperatures are only around 79 to 80 degrees, and maybe not quite as warm as the inland components. Looking at the wave activity, looking at the CHR 60 wave according to CORA, I use this for reference. It shows the wind and wave heights and period, everything. If you want to go to this website to check it out, it's a great tool to have in your back pocket, especially if you're sailing offshore. There's more data out here now than there used to be. So the Cap 2 wave is what you want to be looking at. It's what the University of North Carolina has helped put into the area to improve our wave data. We are looking at CHR wave 60. So let's go to the near shore buoy reference for this. I'm going to buoy 41076 for the forecast. And it looks like as we get into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, we have a little bit of a surge up to about 4 feet, and that's coming in from the south, basically the south, or just due south-southeast. As we get into Thursday, Friday, the wave heights come down to about 3.5 feet. Could be looking at 3 to 3.5 as we do the race start, get offshore Friday into Friday night and the Saturday morning. The wave direction coming in from the south originally and then backing more south-southeast south. The wave periods can be right around 5 to 6 seconds. So may get a little bit bumpy out there, especially with the wave direction and the period being low. It doesn't look like it's going to be very comfortable overnight, especially if you get that nocturnal jetting. So as far as tropics goes, I know a lot of folks are thinking, what's going on in the tropics? Is it going to have any effect on us? Well, no, we have Tropical Storm Brett that formed this afternoon, winds at 40 miles per hour. It is expected to become a hurricane as we round into Thursday morning and then impact the Leeward Islands as we get into Thursday night and Friday. So those folks will be feeling some tropical effects down there, but for us, no wave action or no tropical issues whatsoever. If we do look off the coast, there is a little bit of a spin. I know everybody tends to watch these. We do watch them because we look for homegrown systems to develop, especially with storm activities. And our sea surface temperatures are they're just supportive along the coastal shelf. The Gulf Stream sitting around 83, 84 degrees, and the coastal shelf right around 79. So 79 to 80 degrees. So it's just supportive enough for it, but we're going to keep an eye on this. If anything tropical does develop, you'll know it here first. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I think we've covered all the bases for the preliminary round for this forecast. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It looks like it's going to be windy, a little bit rough, and we'll have to watch for storming. So I'll be in touch with the Weather Service ahead of our skippers meeting this Thursday at the CYC at 6:30. I will be there. I'll post the first official forecast either tomorrow night or Wednesday night. But either way, I'll see you Thursday for a final. We'll wrap it up, make some decisions on you guys make some decisions on the course, and then we'll go from there. All right, everybody, we'll take care, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you.